let's get into the wingers. And Charlie, we come to you. I almost said Heath, but I'm going to go with Charlie on this. I'll put you on the spot first. We got some wingers. Who are you going with? Who are your first choices? Knowing that Pulisic could be hurt, I don't know.
Well, he's training. He's back.
Yeah, sure, but maybe he doesn't want to make the trip. It's just Granada and El Salvador. The guys can do it without him. I don't know. I'm just trying to stir the pot when I've got nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Timothy Weah, Christian Pulisic.
Yeah,
Brenden Aaronson, and Taylor Booth.
Okay. How about he's returning from injury himself.
I would maybe like to see Kevin Paredes, like he touched on earlier, just because this is a kid with a lot of potential. He's played, against Bayern as of late, 2 goals and 3 assists. He's 21, or he's 19 years old. So he has 1 goal and 1 assist in 13 appearances. So he's played against Bayern. Maybe he's one of the young kids that you say, hey, let's see how he is and how does he fit in within this group. But for sure, Timothy Weah, Christian Pulisic, Brenden Aaronson, and if Taylor Booth is all right, because I know he came off injured. But if he's good to go, let's see what creativity he has with this group.
All right, I agree with you on those picks. I like that. Taylor Booth, I want to see for sure. Yeah. Heath, how about you? But I kind of want to see. Well, apparently, can I say this first before you jump in?
Please.
That the new manager for Mexico, Diego Coca, has discussed bringing in Alejandro Zendejas to Mexico. I know he played for us in one of the friendlies in January. It wasn't a sanctioned game by FIFA, so he can still play for Mexico if he'd like. He's had not the best relationship with the Mexican Federation, national teams, coaches, whatever. But now with a new man in charge, it looks like they're trying to court him a little bit. And I think they've forced him to make a decision. You got to make that decision now. No more flip-flopping. And I wonder if he's going to even come in, or does that force our hand a little bit? Like, we got to call in Zendejas. We got to get him locked in on an official FIFA date.
Yeah, I mean, and Zendejas is crazy talented. Again, we're talking about 23. I don't think we've ever done a 23 on this. So there's naturally going to be some players that we talk about on the outskirts that I believe still get called in. But for the sake of the 23, because I'm running out of players and I've got Kevin Paredes either as a fullback or a winger in this, I've got Pepe, Brendon, Weah.
Pepe is a winger?
Pepe's a winger?
Oh, sorry. I was talking about I've got it as the attacking 3, not as winger. For my wingers, I've got Brendon, I've got Weah, I've got Booth and Pulisic, and then Paredes, whether he's a fullback or whatever. So those are my 4. I was putting my whole front 3 of everybody.
I see.
I believe in fluidity in the sport, guys. I don't like to put people in boxes.
Interchangeable, adaptable players. I'm
not great at spreadsheets like Jimmy makes with these things, where he's got like grids and
No chance. Yeah. Okay, I think we're pretty much in agreement with regard to that. Paredes would be awesome to see. Taylor Booth want to see as well as Zendejas. If there is some of him considering maybe Mexico and the plan that Diego Coca wants to present to me about how important I'm going to be in the run up to 2026, it might be worth calling him in so we can lock him in and having a conversation with him as well. But we can't offer him that plan because we don't have 3 very important pieces to our infrastructure in terms of sporting director, general manager, and coach. Yeah. Am I harping on it a lot? Yeah, I am, because what is happening? Okay. Now let's get into strikers with our resident striker, number 9, Charlie Davies. Who are you bringing up top? I assume 3? 3 strikers?
Yes, 3. Sargent, Ricardo Pepi, and Brendon Vazquez.
Ooh. Wow.
I think Daryl DK needs a little bit more time. But Sargent, just because of how well he played in the World Cup up until his injury when he got his opportunity, I was really pleased with what I saw from him. Big growth in his involvement within the flow of the game. If you're not scoring goals, how do you open up space for your teammates, hold up play, good touches? Jesus Ferreira, in my opinion, is not a 9, so he doesn't get called into this group, and he hasn't been in good form either. So that's why Jesus doesn't get in, Evan. But Sargent has definitely, I think, for me, grown to that point where he should be involved. And then Ricardo Pepi's on fire. I mean, he's scoring goals. He's playing 90 minutes every game as a striker. that's that game time you really need to develop, and he's central to that team's success. Like if they need to attack, they look at Ricardo Pepi, and there's never a doubt that he's going to come off the pitch. When you're the guy for your team in Europe, I know it's not the biggest league, but it's a competitive league. That's awesome for his growth. So and he's performing because it's a tough league when your team's not dominating possession and creating a lot of opportunities. So he's made the most of it. And then I think Brendon Vazquez, just because he's performed well in MLS. And then I think the last January camp, you were intrigued. You're like, I want to see what it looks like when he's playing with some of the top players. Daryl Dike, I think, is just on the outside looking in, just continuing to stay healthy and get more minutes under his belt. But I think, and then Jordan Pefok, his form has dropped off tremendously. So I think that's who I'm going with.
Okay. Now I saw a shout here for a player who currently finds himself as the highest scoring player aged 21 or younger in Europe's top 5 leagues. He's got 15 goals during his loan spell in France for.
We can't even talk about him because he's not
Roland Balogun. Why can't we talk about? I want to bring Balogun. I want to bring Balogun. How do we get him in, Chuck? How do we get him in?
All right, Jimmy. Then who are you taking out? Because if he doesn't accept the invite, you only get to bring 22. Okay, since you're changing the rules again.
Ricardo Pepi.
Okay, then he's not coming in. Ricardo Pepi's out. You're holding that seat for Balogun. There's only, this is musical chairs, Jimmy. There's only one seat.
Balogun, Pepi, and Sargent. Well, okay, no, listen. Balogun's out. I like the Vazquez shout. I'd like to see more Brendon Vazquez. I think he gives us a different dynamic, and I want to see him with this group. With all due respect to the January campers, I want to see how he mixes in with some of the guys, especially how he gets service when he's got Way on one side, Pulisic on the other, and Moose is bombing forward, and McKinney's bombing forward, and how he interacts and interchanges in his decision-making with that particular group. So I want to see Vazquez. I like Pepi, and I think Sargent. I'm with Chuck on those 3 selections.
I'm going to go
kindred spirits.
I'm going to go DK on this one, which is a prove me wrong type of or more so prove Charlie wrong. That he's made some of these strides, and it's not just about streak of goals in a particular competition, that he can do that at the national team level, that he can have good hold up play, that he can be impactful over that time. And I'm saying bring him in for this one, as opposed to Vazquez. Although I really want to see Vazquez. And then obviously Ricardo Pepi. And then I think that would put me at 22. And then I've got maybe that does put me at 23 with my, I had a few linger. So I think that puts me at 23. So it would be, no, I think I have room for Sargent. If I'm counting that correct. So those would be my ones. It'd be, unfortunately, no Vazquez. But I just want to see, I think DK is continuing to prove that he's knocking on the door, and you when you're knocking on the door, you keep getting chances, and either makes the most, and that window or maybe that window gets smaller and smaller for him if he doesn't prove himself that it can translate at the national team level.